The reason why sailors jump off Navy aircraft carriers. As the sun beats down on the vast deck of the military aircraft carrier, sailors form a line. As the countdown begins, cameras and phones are ready to capture the moment. Then they leap without hesitation. But why is this so? What is the origin of this seemingly reckless tradition? In this video, we'll look at the fascinating history and hidden purpose behind why sailors jump off Navy aircraft carriers. So stay tuned as we prepare to dive into the deep blue sea of naval tradition. The term swim call refers to a long-standing practice in the United States Armed Forces during which sailors and Marines let off steam by converting the middle of the ocean into their own swimming pool. When the ship is at anchor, swim calls are a nice break from the work of keeping the high-tech battleships going. The custom goes back at least to the Second World War. During the Vietnam War, ships or submarines would sail a few miles offshore to let their crews relax in the water. Most of the time it is done in warm areas outside of the country like the Mediterranean, Arabian, and South China Seas, as well as the Indian and Pacific Oceans. And when it's time to get back to work, the sailors and Marines climb back on board the ship by either climbing cargo nets or using the landing docks. This is carried out under the watchful eyes of shark guards and snipers stationed at key points on the deck. These ships' flying decks can be up to 60 feet above the water. In several cases, sharks have interrupted sailors' relaxation time by showing up at their swim calls. In the year 2020, a group of United States Coast Guardsmen were conducting a swim call in the middle of the Pacific Ocean when a 6-foot shark swam dangerously close to them. During the swim call, an officer tasked with keeping an eye out for sharks was able to see the creature while it was only 30 feet away from his companions. To prevent the sea monster from harming their 40 underwater colleagues, sailors on the Coast Guard Cutter Kimball fired shots at the creature. The fortunate outcome of the situation is that nobody was hurt in the confrontation. Swim calls were invented as a way for sailors to take a wash because there was no constant supply of water at the time. They are now frequently regarded as a break. Swim calls are a great way for the crew to take a break from their normal routine and get some much-needed exercise. But what happens if an aircraft carrier's crew member goes overboard? Michael Sitzman, who was an intelligence specialist in the U.S. Navy from 1973 to 1996, a weapons system technician from 1974 to 1999, and a reactor mechanic from 2002 to 2007, says that if a sailor falls overboard on an aircraft carrier, here are what the steps that should be taken are. There are usually 2 sailors, one on each of the ship's port and starboard side, standing watch at the carrier's stern. If a man falls overboard, the person on the starboard watch will throw a life ring with a flashing beacon connected to it overboard. He'll then send a message to the bridge reading, "Man overboard, starboard side." A Williamson turn is performed by the helmsman by sharply altering the ship's course to starboard for a period of 60 degrees. Then he gives the wheel a forceful spin to port, reversing the ship's path from before the man fell overboard. They lower a whaleboat with a rescue team as they draw near the flashing beacon. As this unfolds, the sailors of each division are mustering to determine who is missing. They have around 5 minutes from the time the man overboard is announced over the 1MC to retrieve him. The crew trains this through drills in which a dummy named Oscar is thrown overboard. The crew musters and Oscar is rescued. During a man overboard drill, they limit to the missing sailors down to one individual whom we'll call Seaman Peckerwood. Over and over again, the XO commands, "Seaman Peckerwood, report to your division." Then someone yelled, "Seaman Peckerwood, report to the bridge with your Walkman." Peckerwood goes to the bridge and the XO throws his Walkman overboard from the bridge wing. Seaman Peckerwood was found sleeping in his bunk with his headphones on. And there you have it, the intriguing reason why sailors jump from Navy aircraft carriers. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about naval history and tradition, don't forget to subscribe and switch on notifications for our channel.